Hello and welcome to the Lenko show. Starting off with a gun flex today. I am here today with Chris. Welcome back, brother.
Did you just do a gun flex? I wasn't actually watching then.
I did actually. I did. Sorry. So first off, we've gone past 100 downloads, which is pretty epic considering I thought we only had like 3 people listening. So.
Well, I only have one real world friend. So
it's amazing, really. So 100 downloads. So thank you so far to everyone who has listened. If you have listened, and especially if you've enjoyed it, please leave us a review, give us 5-star rating, get us up there, boost us up. And also massive thanks to each of our guests who has been on so far, I think. Most certainly. I know Robert Grant, that last episode, number 7. If you haven't listened to that, definitely go back, get a listen, because it was class. And then the one before it as well, we had essentially 2 awesome guests back to back. Number 6 with Wayne Drew, which we've actually laid down a challenge for ourselves. And I might not have actually told you this yet, Chris, but you can definitely come and do this with us. What me and Wayne are going to be doing, we're going to be running over Mount Snowdon in an ultra marathon at the beginning of June whilst wearing American football kit. So we will be releasing more details on that as we get close to the time. So we are currently starting training for that.
I can't imagine how good that's going to be on ankles and feet.
Do you know what? I think you're completely underestimating. It's going to be neck, which is so weird for running. But like you think about,
actually, you are right. Are you wearing a lid?
We're definitely wearing a lid. Yeah. American football kit. So shoulder pads, helmet, running up and down a mountain. I mean, at least when we take a tumble, we'll be all right.
You know what? Actually, that's a very good point. It might make it more fun. Might be more willing to do. But no, I was going to say silly things at the moment.
But there's going to be some weird challenges thrown up in that. So I have kind of been, because I've done an ultra marathon before. I know you've run a long way before, but especially a big thing for me is hydration and sustenance along the way. And there's no real way, I don't think, that we'll be able to wear a camelback whilst wearing shoulder pads. And obviously the helmet is going to make things quite hot and sweaty, but very, very challenging on the old neck muscles. So either way, that's going to be a sick challenge. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be a real blast. And again, anyone who's listening, if you're listening to this and you would like to play a part in it, come and join us for a bit of the run, or maybe even into the event yourself. Please feel free to get in touch and get signed up. I'm sure we can find you a helmet and some shoulder pads from somewhere as well. So, massive thanks to everyone who's downloaded and listened. Massive thanks to each of our guests so far. And today, because we're in the lead up to Christmas, this is the week before Christmas that we're recording this. We're going to come at you with some Christmas tips. And in our previous episode together, me and Chris, we discussed 1 or 2 little savage training ideas and training methods that you can go away and have a crack at. So we're going to go into that a little bit more again in this show. So, Chris, what's new?
Not a great deal, mate. Not a great deal.
I mean, last time, the last show we did together, we started by talking about a bodybuilder who'd married his sex doll. So I don't really know how we...
Yeah, so I don't know what the natural progression is from bodybuilders and sex dolls, but what I do know is it was enjoyable. So I've got some questions for you this time.
Ooh, yeah.
Although not so much news stories, but more figuring out your opinion, finding your opinion.
Yeah, okay.
I quite enjoy listening to your opinion on most things. So that's what we're going to do. You had my opinion last time. We're going to find your opinion this time. So without further ado, so what I actually did was I actually researched questions that people ask personal trainers. There's a couple that I've heard before. There's a couple that you've probably heard before as well. But these I've actually found an article which I will find. I wrote down the questions. I'll re-find the actual article so people can read it if they want to. And props to them for doing it.
Well, number one, they won't need to read it after this, though, will they?
Well,
there'll be no point because, let's be honest, questions you'd ask personal trainers, you're asking them to me now. So if you're listening to this, don't bother reading the article. Would be my take. Save yourself the time. Just trust what I say.
Okay, fair enough. But actually, I have a burning question of my own.
Oh.
Well, actually, no, I don't. No, I want to have an opinion, your opinion on a question that popped into my head today. So I was at the gym today and I saw something that I've seen for years and years and years and years and years. And I have actually asked someone before, as I've spoken to them while they were doing it. So, but I wanted to get your opinion on doing lying bicep curls. So lay flat on your back on the floor with the barbell. Well, it's just a silver bar, not a full Olympic bar, but attached to the cables. I want to know your opinion.
Well, so I've seen this myself many times before, and I can tell you exactly what I do think of it because it's what I have thought of it in the past. And whenever I've seen someone doing it, I've always thought, it's such a shame I'm with a client, because if I could walk past you, I would accidentally kick you in the head. I mean, why not stand up? It uses more muscle.
So I don't know if you've actually seen, there's another progression/regression, which is down in a deep squat and doing your bicep curl from that position. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't seen that one. So what you're saying is you get into the bottom of your squat position.
Yeah.
And are you using dumbbells for this?
No. This is on the cables. So the cable's set to the bottom.
Right,
and
so the cable's wrapped.
You're squatting down.
You squat all the way down, and then you start doing your curls
in the bottom of the squat.
I mean, again, like with all exercises, what is it you're going for? What are you trying to achieve? That would be my number one question. I think that question for those people doing that exercise would be a very complicated answer. I don't think they would know. I don't think they would know what they're trying to achieve there. And that's the big problem. Like if you're going into a gym and you're doing those kind of exercises and you don't know what you're doing there, you're a little bit lost, aren't you? Just wandering in the woods with no idea where you're going, what you're doing, or how you got there. So
I actually approached the guy who was doing the bicep curls in the squat position, and I asked him with an open mind, and I just said, "Is there any particular reason that you're doing them in that position rather than stood up?" And I think so. His answer highlights quite a big thing in the fitness industry. He said because he saw a very big guy at another gym doing them that way.
Do you know what? Like it's just a shit answer, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you see, if that's what you're going for, you see that you're going for that kind of physique and you see them doing it, you probably would start doing it if you didn't know any better, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah. I suppose that's the problem. It's lack of education. Although to be fair, even I saw something, it was a few years ago now, where it was someone performing a straddle deadlift, where the barbell is running between the legs.
Oh, yeah.
So you stood over the top. I can do it with a pen like this. You stood over the top of the bar and it's like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Rather than the bar being horizontal across you, it's like through you, pointing forwards, and then you grab one hand in front, one hand behind, and then perform it. And I think the excuse was, "Oh, Carly Muscle's done it," and I'm like,
"Are they the ones that you were doing last week?"
Oh, don't do that to me. That's not cool. Yeah, I do them all the time. When you're talking about, it's my favorite exercise. That's why I just don't want anyone else doing it. So, I mean, it achieves literally fuck all. It achieves absolutely nothing. What are you doing in that position? Like, if you asked me, what type of deadlift should I do to break my spine and completely ruin my posture, let's be honest, you're not going to lift heavy. Like when Eddie Hall was queuing up for his 500 kilos world record attempt, he didn't design his training program based around a straddle deadlift and then set himself up on the stage where he picked it up in between his legs, did he? It's just not, it's pointless. And if you think the deadlift is probably one of the biggest strength exercises there is, how strong are you going to get performing a straddle deadlift? Moronic. You've set me off.
We've upset him. I'll give him 5. You carry on for 5 minutes, Alex. I'm going to go and get a drink. All right. Well, on that note, all right, just before I get to the next question, it's just because I've set you off. What do you think is the worst exercise variation that you've seen?
Oh, God. Well, I think we've just covered a few, haven't we? So straddle deadlift is definitely a poor one. The squat whilst bicep curling, lying down bicep curling. I mean, did someone just push you over? And then the warm-up exercise from hell, which is grabbing...
Wait. Are you going to do the external rotations one? The one that's not an actual external rotation?
Yeah, no. Like if you're holding dumbbells with your palms facing up, right, and you're bent at the elbow, for the people that can see this on the video, right, this position is a bicep dominant position. Like your bicep is what is holding that in place, right? And then by rotating your arms out to the side, you're using your shoulders. The dumbbells that you're using, it doesn't matter. They might as well, you could either have 1s or 50s. Like the weight through your shoulder is going to be the same. Literally, the only thing that's getting the work done is your bicep. What's the point? Just use a band or a cable machine or pull horizontally across you. The force needs to be coming across your body, not vertically downwards.
I think that's a good piece of information for 99% of gym goers.
And while we're on it, Stairmaster Kickbacks, do we want to talk about those? What do we think to those?
We have time to talk about those.
30 building bollocks is exactly what that is. Pointless waste of time. If you're listening, if you want to build a big bum, right, I can tell you this because I've got one. Trust me on that if you're listening and you've never seen it before. Right? I've got glutes. Not once have I done a Stairmaster kickback. Never.
Have you seen the variations of Stairmaster kickback?
Oh, there's variations. Oh.
Have you ever? So there's.
I've seen side-lying leg presses. What was? I think I legit saw someone doing bicep curls on a leg extension machine. Like, so a machine that's built to train your quads. And this guy was like, not in this, and but maybe if he was doing a superset, I would have understood this. Maybe if he thought, right, today, my training session is going to be quads and guns. I'm going to superset leg extensions with bicep curls. And the way I'm going to do it is by curling the leg extension machine. I would have maybe gone, that's an efficient use of equipment. But no, it was literally, I think it might have been a lunge variation off the machine. And then he'd walk over to the machine, turn to the side and start curling the foot pads.
So, you okay? You okay?
It's hard. It's hard, isn't it? And then, I mean, we think, how can someone be so poorly educated? I'm not going to say stupid because it's not stupidity. It's just, you just don't necessarily know better. And then I think there are people that believe that the world is flat. There are people that genuinely believe Bill Gates is going to control our minds and put things into a vaccine that is going to manipulate what we do as a population. But a little note on that, by the way, that's not required. We can be manipulated by various other means that are far simpler than creating a little vaccine that's going to do. The vaccine isn't. So do you know what I mean? Like, when you think, oh, how can you be so dumb? But people are that way inclined.
You know what? You know what's funny? I was talking to one of my clients who's doesn't work anymore. I'm not going to name drop, but worked with the government. And we were talking about this. We were talking about people being silly. And he was like, yeah, but the problem with putting something inside you is like, how would you power it? Like, it would work for so long, but then you'd require like another battery or something. It'd just be stupid. He said, it's not the vaccine you should be worried about. It's your computer and your phones. They've already got you there. And he just sort of like smirked at me. Like, I was like, oh yeah. You're already being tracked. If you're worried about being tracked, you're already being tracked.
And then they go, well, I don't want the government knowing what I'm thinking. It's like, well, stop putting anything on social media then. Stop tweeting. Stop putting your status on Facebook about how you're victimized and you're being, tracked in everything you do. Like, you're all. Yeah,
Tell you what, that'd be an interesting topic for another podcast. There was I'm sure it was on Impact Theory, but they were like top people who designed and developed like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And they were saying about like social media is designed, or the direction it's going in is for everything to sort of predict like you and your life and your thoughts and what you're going to do next. And he said the next step is like, obviously you have an avatar. So like a digital version of yourself, so it knows what you're going to do, what you're going to search for, etc. So eventually they'll just suddenly replace you actually as a person, which, I mean, that's a story for another time, but it'd be an interesting one. Anyway, I haven't even got to the first question yet. There was just my question that was based on lying down bicep curls. So here's the first question. How do I wake up at 5 a.m. daily to work out?
You just do it.
Good answer.
The way you do it is you have a strategy. So to do anything, there is a strategy. You want to play golf, there is a strategy. Go and buy some clubs. Find golf club is in a place to play. You pay your money, and then you go and play. There is a strategy to doing anything. You want to wake up at 5 a.m. What you can either do is drink 5 pint glasses of water at midnight and then automatically wake up at 5 a.m. And that doesn't work, I don't think. I haven't tried it. Someone feel free to try it. Please, if you try that, if you're listening to this and you try that, 5 pint glasses of water at midnight and you wake up at 5 a.m., please let us know. Write to alex@lenkohq.com. And
just on that, I've just interrupted my own question there, but you know what? You've just reminded me rather. There was a time when I trained myself to do this at 4:30 every morning. So what I used to do was I used to set my alarm at 4:30 every morning to wake me up. And then I'd do something and then I'd just go back to bed. But I did it for about a month. Caroline hated me, by the way. And then she was like, what's the point? And then I started waking up at 4:30 every morning without an alarm. So there's one way. I don't recommend it.
This is it. So, yeah, if you want to wake up at 5:30, 5 in the morning, like 5 in the morning, well, number one, go to bed at a reasonable time. Don't go to bed at 3:30 expecting to wake up at 5 and feel fresh. So what's your purpose of waking up at 5? What do you want to do at 5 in the morning? If it's to wake up at 5 in the morning to go to the gym, well, then I'd suggest maybe pack your bag the night before. Make sure you've got your kit. Make sure you've got your food or everything else that you need for the day, depending on if you're coming back to the house. But set an alarm for the first one. Set an alarm. Definitely just set an alarm. Get up and do it. So, and the thing is, like you've said there, you essentially trained yourself to wake up at 4:30. The body works on a biological clock. Every cell in our body has its own inbuilt clock that almost gives us like a perspective of time or a sense of time. So everything works on a rhythm. If you feel like you end up going to the toilet at the same time every day, that's not a coincidence. That's the body working to a rhythm. That's why we suggest eating meals at similar times each day to the best as you can, because your body is prepared to digest and take in food. That's why when it comes to performance gains, I suggest ideally players, athletes, performers need to be training at the same time they would normally be performing or playing games. One of the problems in the professional level now is that because the kickoffs vary so much, like if we take football, for example, you might have a 12:30 kickoff one day, you might have a 7:45 kickoff midweek, and then you might be a 5:30 or even a 3:00 the next week. It changes so much, but if you can get your body into the rhythm of performing and getting excited and getting the nervous system geared up to play at the same point every day, it will do it far easier. So as soon as you set your alarm once, twice, and you're getting up and you start doing it a few times, it will become easier and easier. but you have to take care of things the previous day as well. So I would say make sure you go to bed at a reasonable hour. And even if you go to bed a little bit late, or even if you don't feel like you've got enough sleep, maybe you've got 5 hours, first thing to do, still get up. Just get up anyway. Don't lie in, don't take a break. Get up, because then that way you'll have your normal day. You'll go back to bed in the evening and you'll feel exhausted. You'll fall asleep early. Then you'll wake up at 5 a.m. again the next day, and you repeat again. And if you're able to do it on a weekend, do it on a weekend as well. Like, that would be the optimal. I repeat, that would be optimal, not necessarily desirable. So think about what you want as a lifestyle. That's all I'm saying.
Very good answer. Very good answer.
Comprehensive.
We'll just do a couple more.
Quick fire questions, or did you want these as like detailed as that?
I mean, quick fire, really.
Right,
these were just your opinion, and then we're going to move on to the education portion. But you're educating, your answers are informative and detailed anyway, so why not? Although these next two, we'll see. Okay, you'll understand. So this question, what's your thoughts? Why am I progressing? Hang on, excuse me. Why am I not progressing if I'm doing everything right?
Why are you not progressing if you're doing everything right?
Yeah.
My answer then will be, well, you're not, are you?
Why?
You're not doing everything right. Like, if we're being honest, you're not. Like, you know, if the answer is, why am I not, if the question was, why am I not losing weight when I'm eating to this number of calories all the time? Well, the answer might be, well, you're not. You're just not doing it to the level you're supposed to be, or you're aiming for. And like, let's say, if you genuinely are doing everything as planned and you're not progressing, well, then you're on the wrong plan. So, in short, I would say, full stop. If you're not progressing, full stop, you need to change something. That's it. The alternative, like, let's say you do assess everything, you're eating the right calories, you're training hard, you're performing well, you're putting the time in, your recovery is right. I mean, in theory, in my opinion, if you're doing everything right anyway, you are going to make progress, but maybe you just need to keep being consistent until you hit that breakthrough point. But more often than not, it's either, well, you're not doing everything right, or something needs to change.
I would agree. My opinion would have been the exact same. Like, if you're not progressing, you're not doing anything right.
You know what, it's good that we agree, isn't it, bro? Because normally me and you, we argue anyway. And let's be honest, we're too big to fight anymore, because if we got into a fight, I would end up being very damaged.
Emotionally?
Not like when we were kids, not like when we were younger. I could get away with it back then. Whereas now, I'm not sure.
Maybe that could be another episode. I'm not so sure, mate. I think you've got a bit more size than me, mate, and more power. Anyway, move on to the next question. So the next one, this is the last one, then we're going to move on to the education part, okay? That being said, this has been educational anyway. So the next one is, and this is one that I actually hear quite a bit, kind of like people say it in jest, but you know that deep down they're being serious. It's, how do I lose weight without dieting or exercising?
Chop a limb off.
That's a good answer.
Cut some off.
Yeah.
Right. Well, how bad do you want to lose weight? What do you want? What do you really want? What's the real goal? You know, is it, you know, you just want to be lighter? In a sense, let's say if your goal was genuinely to just lose weight and there was no emotional attachment for it, like you want to lose weight to be slimmer or fitter so you look better naked, or, you know, you can have more of a good time. Like, let's say there's no emotional attachment to losing weight.
So that's just a delayed response there.
If there's no emotional attachment to losing weight, what you are essentially telling me is you want gravity to have less of an effect on you. And by that, I mean, you're saying that you want gravity to be resembled by a lower number on a device that sits on the floor and tells you how much force you're exerting on the earth. Is that it, really? Is that the level that we're aiming at now?
I mean, you made that sound extremely boring.
Because it is. That's weight loss. Like, you want weight loss, that's exactly what you're fucking getting.
Yeah.
You're just saying, my value on this planet is 85 kilograms. Brilliant. Like, 85 kilos of what? Why? What are you doing? I can't stand weight loss as a goal. It's not a goal. That's a surface level answer to something in my life isn't quite right. I want to feel better about it. Help me out. That's what weight loss says. So if like, again, I'll open this out. If someone's goal is weight loss, all right, feel free to email alex@lenkohq.com, chris@lenkohq.com.
Lenko, hang on. Email Alex. Alex Lenkowski, philosopher 2020.
Email us, drop us a message, and we'll have a proper chat. We'll discuss what's really going on.
Really.
Does that answer your question anyway? I hope that's been
good answers. There wasn't a correct answer. It's just really to find your opinion.
They were the correct answers.
Yeah, well, I mean, in my humble and correct opinion, yes. You know, these are questions that, I mean, we're obviously saying them in jest, but they are questions that we deal with quite frequently.
100%. Right. So, shall we move on?
Yes, let's give people some education.
So, Christmas tips. Christmas tips. So we've got a list of Christmas tips here for you. I've got a list written down. Have you got a list written down, Chris?
No, I do this every year.
What, Christmas?
Yes, Christmas. I do Christmas every year.
Right. So would you like me to go through my list and then you can make a comment? Should we do that?
I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Right, okay. So previous years, and this one's a lot less applicable this year because of COVID. Eat before you go out. So if you're going on a night out, Christmas party, boozing, whatever it is, eat before you go. Less of a hangover, less likely to then go and have like cheesy chips or pie and chips, curry and chips, whatever you would normally have after getting a bit.
I've got just to interrupt you there, Alex. I've got a tip on top of a tip. But hang on, in the words of Ben McDonald,
we love.
Would you like a little bonus?
We love tippy tips. That's what we'll call them, tippy tips.
It will be all right, Paul. You can love tippy tips. I
do love tippy tips. Go on, what's your tippy tip?
It's a good word. I like that. I'll use that in future. So the tippy tip is alcohol and hangovers. All right. This was learned through not initially personal experience, but experience of viewing the experience. I don't know why I'm talking like that. So basically, I learned from rugby lads, all right, the tip for hangovers. So these are a breed of man.
Probably the one thing you can learn from rugby lads.
Yeah, exactly. So these are a breed of man who are designed and, I guess, nurtured to possess this exact ability, because what they do is they go out on the piss, they get absolutely hammered, and then these are people who will rock up to training the following morning. They absolutely will. None of this. I can't make it. My nose is running. None of that. Don't know why your nose would be running from a hangover, but that's a pretty bad hangover. But these are people who are specifically designed to give you these tips. So this is what you do. On the night of drinking, so let's say it's Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, whatever. You drink water until your pee is clear. Then, and only then, can you begin drinking poison. When the drinking of poison is finished, you've finished taking alcohol, you then drink water until your pee is clear again. And only then can you go to bed. Only then. And you will wake up hangover free the following morning. Because you're purely hydrated. You're fully hydrated again. And do you know, like, for me, I was sat there, I was listening to this, and I'd seen it before as well. And I had a look on my face that was kind of a mixture of disgust and, oh my God, he's a fucking genius.
Someone give the man a PhD or the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So if you're a drinker and you're listening, or you're not a rugby lad, there you go. There's your tippy tip.
I'm thinking what we do on Christmas Day is get Dad to drink a bucket full of water first, and then again, like, so actually, if you're not the big drinker in your family, right, here's what you can do: get the drinker of the family to down a bucket of water or a load of water in whatever way you see fit, and then at the end of the night, once they've had loads to drink and they've stopped drinking, maybe they've fallen asleep / passed out. Use the same said bucket of water to grab their attention again.
Yeah. Very good shout. I was just thinking that, something like ALS ice bucket. So there's your tippy tip. So that's tip number 1 plus tippy tip. What's your next tip, Alex?
So tip number 2 is have a select number of treats. So make conscious decisions about what you're going to have around, what you're going to eat, and then whatever you do have, whatever you do get, be okay with it. Like, that's what Christmas is for. Enjoy yourself. Eat loads, but pick stuff you're going to enjoy, and don't feel guilty about it. Just have fun with it. Fill your boots. It's the one time of the year that you can definitely do that. Any tippy tip?
Tippy tip for treats and snacks. No, I think the only, like, I would, especially, and I've gone through this with my clients as well, like, Christmas isn't like a usual routine thing. Like, the things that throw people off are the things that throw them off routine. Like, it doesn't come around again in the year. So enjoy it. If you are spending time with family or with other people, don't feel guilty for the stuff that you do. Tippy tip and do.
You're not laughing at do, are you? Come on.
However, what I would say is, if you can do it over Christmas, you can do it any time of the year. And that what I mean by that is, if you're applying yourself over Christmas when family's round and, you know, there's loads of distractions and stuff, and you are out of routine and everything in the universe is telling you to just enjoy yourself and just ease off, and you can stick to it, I guarantee you'll be able to stick to it through the rest of the year.
Number 3, mealtime selection. So, to skip or not to skip? Do you skip meals or not? Yes or no? Now, normally, my eating day will consist of 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or is it, what's the other alternative? Breakfast, dinner, and tea. What a weird concept that is. That's just back. That's not right, that. Let us know what side of that you fall on. Anyway.
I do that depending on where I am in the country.
BLD, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, on a weekend, normally, I don't get chance, especially on a Saturday because of football, I don't get a chance to have lunch. So what I do is I'll get up, work out, have a reasonably calorie dense breakfast, and then a very calorie dense meal in the evening. So that's more or less what my weekend routine looks like. So it's 2 meals rather than 3. And generally try and fill the gaps in between with something that's high protein, maybe a protein shake or something like that. So you get a hit of protein. Now, Christmas Day for me would look like this. I would have a relatively big breakfast, like think loads of eggs, just eggs on toast. Maybe you have some smoked salmon with that if that's going to be used as a starter later on. There's normally a bit going spare. Fill yourself up and then don't eat anything in between. And then when Christmas dinner arrives, eat everything, have the lot. So again, for me, it'd be 2 meals during the day rather than 3. What would you do? What would you do? Would you skip or not skip?
Yeah, no, I do the same. Here's my tippy tip for the skippy skip. You can do this throughout the year. Like so I do this on, not necessarily, I don't really call it a cheat day, but if you're going to have something where like you're going out for food or you're going to be getting takeaway or whatever, I don't really have takeaways, but I do like going out to a restaurant. And if I'm so Caroline's a very good cook. I'm all right. Dad's a very good cook. Caroline's family are very good cooks. So if I'm providing food, it'll be okay. If someone else is providing the food, it's going to be very good. If I'm going to go out and pay for food, therefore, I'm going to get exactly what I want. So I'm not going to tiptoe about going, oh, well, I'll just get this and I'll just get this. Like for some people that works. Not for me. I will literally do exactly that. I'll have a good breakfast, set myself up for the day, and then I'm quite happy to, I guess, intermittent fast for the rest of the day until we're going out for that meal. And then I'll go all in.
And have a massive dessert as well. Maybe 2-course dessert, like you have like profiteroles, Christmas pudding, and then maybe something else afterwards as well. Definitely do that. 100%. Yes. Right, number 4, and this kind of goes back to your tippy tip for number 1, drink wisely. So choose your poison. If you want to get a little bit pissed without a megaton of calories or loads of excess sugar, maybe even without the bloating that you would get through like lager or beers or whatever, my drink of choice is a gin and tonic. Clear spirit, and then even a slimline tonic or something. If you went for a 0-calorie like soft drink, again, if you were doing vodka and Coke, like go vodka and Diet Coke, or that would be my way of going about it. I don't want to get fat through drinking. I would rather eat my calories than drink them. So that kind of rolls into another tip, which is make water your main drink. And again, goes back to what you said at the very start of this. Drink loads of water, stay hydrated. And if you can make water your main drink over Christmas, doesn't really matter what else you drink because you're getting loads of water in. Again, primary thing that we need for our bodies to function. Every cell requires it. So don't skimp. And if you don't like water, you're not allowed to drink anything. Like if you think when you're thirsty, like when you're really, really thirsty, when you're literally dehydrated, you don't crave like Coca-Cola or lemonade or iron brew. It just doesn't happen. Water is what you want. So if you don't like water, do that. See how you go. See how far you get. Much sauce on that, Chris?
Interesting. It's not the direction I thought you were going to go in, but okay, yeah. I mean, 100%, I would say focus on drinking water. Honestly, even I can say I go through bouts of mainly drinking water and then mainly drinking milk because I love milk.
Water is actually very good for hydrating you as well. Water is obviously, milk is very good for hydrating you as well.
I'm aware. So yeah, that's why I swap between those two. But I would agree. Yeah, you do. You never find yourself absolutely sweating your
knackers off.
Knackers, thank you. Knackers off. And craving like something weird like a Coca-Cola. No, I'd agree. Good analogy. Well done. I'm proud of you.
Right. Next one. Get outside. Be active. Get outdoors. Go and enjoy some fresh air.
Yep.
And especially, I think probably more important this year as well, especially if you're with family or you're in close contact with people or you just want to meet up with people, go and do it outside. Don't be one of the petri dishes with virus spreading it to everyone. Go and meet people outside. Go to the park. Go and do stuff. Go get fresh air. Climb a mountain. Walk a hill. Walk around town. Enjoy being outside.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think so. I think you got a couple wrong. Yeah, no, I think they're all the ones that we would normally go through at the seminar that we do at Preston. We'd say focus on, don't focus on progressing towards the goal specifically, focus on maintaining where you're currently at while obviously enjoying yourself because you're obviously trying to maximize fun. Remain active as possible because a lot of time over Christmas we tend to be sat around drinking or eating food, what have you, and just talking. Go out on walks if you can, and then just moderate intake of all the bad stuff because it makes an unhealthy appearance at Christmas time, does it not?
I've got two more as well.
Oh, hello.
Two more, and then something that I want to discuss with you. So the next one, strength training. Do your strength training. Do not neglect it or ignore it. If you're getting calories in, and I mean an abundance of calories, probably more than usual, going over the top with them, that's the best time to add strength. When you're in a calorie surplus, when there is an abundance of energy available for the body to recover, utilize it, get strength training, get strong. And then through January, you can change your training cycle, adapt your training phase, get more powerful, more explosive, a bit more speed, improve muscle tone. Don't worry about that over Christmas. Which kind of leads into the last one. So setting goals over Christmas. I have got set goals written down as a tip. So Chris, what goals would you set yourself over Christmas? Just out of curiosity.
What, to achieve over Christmas or going into the new year?
Well, same period, like over this period, over the next few weeks, what kind of goals would you set yourself?
Well, funnily enough, we were discussing this in our team meet the other day. So we think it would be very beneficial for all of our trainers. And if it's beneficial for our trainers, it's definitely beneficial for all you guys as well. To use some time over the next, well, not this week, but next week, towards the close of the year, to reflect on, obviously, always gratitude, but wins and goals that you've done over the previous year. And then set yourself up so you're in the right place to get started from next year. Now, obviously, what I said earlier, like, you don't really want to be starting a goal come January because most people, I remember, shout out, name drop, Louise Lockley, who kind of mentored and took me under her wing when I first started with Profit years ago. Very, very clever. She was saying about like people who start like the first 2 weeks of January are the New Year's resolutioners and are more than likely to drop off and fail. The people who are still around come end of January, start of February, they're the people who are still giving it a go. And they're the people who are more than likely going to progress with it in some way. So the point to that story is you don't really want to be looking to start over January because if you're not willing to start now, I'd be questioning it. However, that being said, like I said earlier, think of it as like it's it's a break from usual routine. And when there's a break from usual routine, it's a good chance to reflect and look at what's happened previous and what's going to happen post break. So I just think for everyone, like, take a look at where you want to be in a year's time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time, whatever, however long it's going to be, and just set yourself up so that you are going to be in the right place. If you're not already working towards stuff, you are going to be in the right place come next year, start of next year. As for me specifically, I mean, the main things that I discussed with my guys were going to focus on making sure my environment is spotless. So one thing that I got quite good at a few years ago was getting rid of the energy that I don't need, from whether it's from people or things like that. But now it's environment based. So it's like, what can I clean out of my environment? And I was telling you earlier, I'm already sorting out stuff that I don't need in my room, old clothes, things like that. Like, they make a difference, albeit potentially a small difference, a subconscious difference, but they make a difference. So tidying my environment and making sure everything is set up in the position or in the way that puts me in a position to be the most likely to succeed with the stuff that I have got going on. What about you? Anything specific? Anything vague?
Well, I think in terms of, you can't necessarily go into a Christmas period and set some really precise goals of, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to get to this body composition, or like, you're probably setting yourself up for failure and restriction and misery, if that's your intention.
All things that we enjoy.
What I would recommend is over the Christmas period specifically and into the new year, is set yourself some process goals and stick to the principles. So for me, it's a case of being active every day, whether that means going to the gym, going for a walk, going for a run, jumping on the assault bike, do something that's going to get your heart rate up, something that's going to get the energy flowing. So, and essentially keep you alert, keep you excited, keep the nervous system ticking over. That's what we want to be. If you want to be around energetic people who are loving life around Christmas rather than people who are miserable and kind of down on themselves, your energy is vital, on your level of activity is vital to you being in that energetic state. So maintain that. Look after your state first and foremost. The next thing kind of goes down to what we mentioned before about make water your main beverage. Make that your main drink every day. If you're doing that, you are playing a big part in taking care of your body. So be physically active, drink loads of water. And then the next thing that I would say, I mean, there's probably the bit where I struggle, is organize your time of where you're going to be and when. It's like, if you're going seeing family, who you're seeing, when you're seeing, and make sure you've got that time blocked in and taken care of, and be the best person you can be for those people. I think it's as simple as that. It doesn't need to get any more complicated than that. And I mean, food-wise, eat what you want. For me, all I'm going to do is stick to my meal timings and that structure, and I will eat till I'm full, and possibly a little bit beyond that.
Definitely a little bit beyond that.
Till I feel a little bit sick, and then I'll keep going, and then I'll stop.
And then we will require more from you.
Yeah, I'll stop when it hurts, have a short break, and then go back for more.
Yeah, just remember, we're all about discipline. So we don't stop when it hurts. We stop when we're done.
That's it. Till the profiteroles are finished.
That's the one.
No matter how full we feel. After this, so here's the next question for you. What is going on Christmas dinner? What's going on your plate?
Oh, what is going on my plate?
Yeah, what you having?
Quantities or?
No, well, you can go into quantities if you want.
I mean, it's so I've thought about this. I haven't, but I'm thinking about it now. Last year, I don't know if you remember this. No, last year. When did we last have it At Dad's.
We last had Christmas last year. I think we were together. It was the year before that.
Okay, so the year before that,
I think.
I don't know if you remember, but my tactics were to have a high protein first dish. Okay, so
I love that. Do you know what? For people that don't know you, maybe they know me. We are very, very we have the same strategies when it comes to this. And when we're talking about Christmas dinner, and we talk about, well, for my first Christmas dinner, for my first serving of Christmas dinner, you get an idea. Like, we eat a lot, don't we? We do eat.
I've been known to put a few dishes away in my time, in a short space of time.
So for your first serving of Christmas dinner?
Yeah, so for the first serving, it's going to be heavily protein based. Okay, with vegetables. I can hear you asking, you're all asking, why would you do that? Well, the answer is, I'm getting in everything that I need first. Now, if that's not a tippy tip, I can't help you. Get the things that you need in first. The protein, obviously, you know, when you're a big guy like myself and Alex, you got to get that protein in. So protein and your vegetables is essential. And obviously there's gravy. And if you're doing it right, probably red cabbage too.
Doesn't that class as a vegetable?
Oh yeah.
Surely, come on.
Never mind. I just meant specifically red cabbage. I've seen a few that didn't have it on there, but you know.
We're
anyway.
talking like 5 good thick slices of turkey, a fistful of like a handful of carrots, sprouts, red cabbage.
We're talking, if you can imagine your plate, it's a circle. It's a big circle. Oh man! All right, imagine your plate. You want to cover a third of your plate with meat. All right.
Yep.
You're going to cover the remaining 2/3 with vegetables.
Good job you got your maths right.
I mean, I'm just thinking about that. So actually, I'm lying to you there. You would have probably 1/3 veg and then 1/3 something that you do like. But the point is, you get your essentials in first, the things that you need. Then you rest for 3.5 minutes.
Timed as well with a stopwatch.
Timed. I don't know if you remember me doing this. Do you remember witnessing this?
I do remember it. I took a much more relaxed approach. I think I just kind of sat there and just thought, I'm going to eat again in a moment anyway.
Yeah, you did. But what I'm saying, so my technique really worked. And by the way, guys, there's no science behind the rest period. It just felt right. So 3.5 minutes.
Well, no, actually, you tell a lie. Like, it's like a maximal effort strength set. That's what
so you're letting your body recover enough for you to go again to the same quantity.
So we can suggest, with an informed kind of concept, you know, you are maximal eating in this meal, in this session, training session. That's what this is now. This Christmas dinner is a training session, right?
Yep.
For getting in the calories. So you are putting in your maximal effort strength set with your protein and your vegetables. Then you need a rest period of between 3 and 5 minutes, following the principles of programming.
No. 3.5 minutes.
A rest time between 3 and 5 minutes. 3.5 minutes fits in there. We'll allow that. You work well off 3.5 minutes. That's your tolerance. Some people listening might need up to 5 minutes. So anyway.
Yeah, but what's important? So this is imperative. You have to convince yourself that whatever rest period you're going for is sufficient for you to get your next plate in. That's essential. If you're not quite feeling it and you're not sure you're gonna be ready to go again, you're not going to do it. There has to be belief there. You have to have faith. Okay. So
visualization is a big part as well. You got to visualize that food.
Yeah. 100%. So then 3.5 minutes later, you go for platter 2, and platter 2 is less protein and obviously more vegetables and more of the other stuff that, you know, you really like and you really want to throw on there. And then the same for platter 3 as well.
And then 4's normally dessert because there's nothing left.
Well, if you don't have Christmas dinner with Alex or me, then you can go for platter 4. If you do, then you won't get that far because it'll all be gone. But yes, then you can have your profiteroles. So if you're having the same thing, so between platter 1, 2, and 3, 3.5, 3 to 5 minutes, then you have, if you're a Lenkoski, you have another 3.5 minutes before dessert. If you're not Lenkoski, have half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, then go into your dessert. And
it's a bit like high intensity eating, isn't it?
Make sure when you go in for that dessert, you go in for that dessert. You go in.
What we're essentially talking about here is high intensity eating. You're going in, you're putting in a maximal effort set, then you're going to rest a little bit before you do another maximal effort set, and you rest a bit, you're going for another maximal effort set.
Yeah. At the end of the day, success leaves clues. And if you want to know how to eat, you got to learn how to eat from the best of them.
Yeah. Principles of life, principles of training, fits with principles of eating.
Yeah.
There we go. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So if you've got any questions on Christmas dinner, feel free to email us again. Probably email Chris on this one, actually. Chris@lenko.com. And
feel free to send across pictures of your Christmas dinners.
Yes. We should definitely do that.
We should do that.
I'll give out a Lenko t-shirt, special edition, Christmas edition, Lenko t-shirt for the best Christmas dinner photo, pre and post.
I'd like to see a video of someone putting our strategy to work.
Yeah, with that 3.5 minute rest period. Yeah.
Yeah, I want people to understand.
Actually, what I want, and I can visualize the winner for this. They not only do they do it for themselves, but they coordinate the entire family to apply the same principle. So you have grandma sat around the table thinking, "Can we eat again yet?" That's what I want to see. That will probably win it. So yeah, that's what I want to see. Please do that.
I think I would also like to add that if you are going to do that, you need to eat at just above average pace. Just above average pace.
Yeah, you've got to get the food in quickly. So hopefully that's boxed off Christmas for you all. Let us know what you've learned from that. Let us know what you apply. We'd really love to see it in action. So make sure you send us your photos and videos. We will send out a t-shirt to the best one. So please do that.
Big words.
Right. Savage training methods or workouts.
What I would like to do is ask you a question, then I'm going to plug this in. So you can start talking and I'm going to plug this in. Because it's going to die. So before we go through savage workouts, I want you to introduce or think back to what is the most minging workout that you've ever done. And explain/describe. Can you remember?
Well, I'm thinking one of the worst workouts I remember, and this was not even gym related. So going back to when we were learning how to kayak, and I ended up falling into the freezing cold river multiple times. So I ended up capsizing the boat many times, getting very, very wet, very, very cold. And there was one time I actually went out paddling by myself, right? And you know, one of my worst workouts for this particular reason, it was rather embarrassing. The boat that I normally went in had a different seat put in, so it was raised up, which makes it even less stable. And I didn't know that. So I was on my own, but there were a couple of rowers from the rowing club who were putting their boat away that were at the side of the river. I jumped in this kayak. I tried to paddle off and literally just rolled straight in. Thought, what the fuck has literally just happened? Because I'd nailed it in that boat. I was absolutely bomb-proof in it. and there was no chance of us falling in. And I literally got in, set off, rolled it straight away and thought, right, okay, brilliant. Paddled to the side, swam to the side, pushed the boat, emptied it out, looked to the seat and thought, right, okay, I'll change that. And I'd not even started the training session and I was freezing cold and very, very wet. So that's one of the worst. Actually, what I will say in terms of a gym workout, one of the worst was one I did last Friday. Actually, it was last Friday. And it was awful. It was designed, I think it was designed to be like a bit of a mover workout and just keep moving and kind of find a steady pace throughout and keep going. So it started with this. It started with an 8, so it was more aerobic. So it was an 8-minute window, no, a 10-minute window for each of the 3 blocks. The first one was a 2-kilometer ski erg. So 2K on the ski erg. Then you rest for the remainder of the time. At the start of the next 10-minute block, it was 100 box step overs with a 25-kilo dumbbell. Just one. And it was an inordinately high box, probably above the average of what we'd normally go for. Very awkward to step up onto, and very, very awkward with the weight, which completely hammered your grip strength, completely ruined your legs. So you were practically having to jump off the box every time, which just took its toll. So I think I was doing sort of like 10 reps at a time, resting, breaking, then going again. And then it was about a minute before the end. So I don't think I actually even finished them. It was that bad. I mean, I was pretty beat up by this time of the week anyway, but didn't actually finish them. And I just threw the dumbbell onto my shoulder and let go of it and started walking, stepping up, stepping over the other side and then stepping back on. And it was fine, balanced on my shoulder. But the idea of actually holding it, I think I tried so many ways of holding it, like probably on my head, over my head, holding it across my chest, holding it down by my waist, holding it in left hand, right hand. So many different ways and variations of doing it. And it like that messed me up a little bit. And then we went from that into a bit of a descending ladder. So as many as you could in the 12 minutes, get as far as you can. You start at 12 very heavy kettlebell swings into 12 burpees over the kettlebell. And then you do 11 kettlebell swings, 11 burpees over the kettlebell, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and you just get as far as you can. Again, don't think I actually finished that one in the 10-minute window, but that was a pretty horrendous workout that genuinely, it just beat me. It beat me. So
Nice.
Have a blast at that. If you're ever doing a little bit of a mover workout like that, break it into sort of 10-minute blocks or 8-minute blocks. Give yourself 3 minutes between each one, or a set amount of work within 10 minutes. Get it done, and then move on to another exercise for the next 10 minutes and see how you go with that. I mean, I'm reasonably okay with the strength stuff or the high effort, repeated type sessions. I'm not too bad with those things. Like I can do dumbbell snatches, dumbbell cleans. No worries. Ask me to hold one and step over a box though. So yeah.
Grim. Legs blowing up.
Do you remember the workout that we did at the start of the first lockdown?
Yes, I do. I was just thinking about it.
Can you remember what it was? Can you remember what it was?
Yeah, super legs. 5 rounds. You did 50 bodyweight squats. This is being recorded, by the way. 40 jumping lunges. 30. No. So it was something like 50 squats.
There was double unders in there.
Yeah, 40. It might have been 50 double unders, 40 bodyweight squats, 30 jumping lunges, 20 somethings, and then 10 squat. Oh, was it tuck jumps?
Yeah.
Was it squat jumps and then tuck jumps?
Do you want me to try and find it?
No. That was daft. That wasn't like, I suppose it was quite sick, but it just blew your legs up. Like your legs were gone after round one. It made no sense to continue beyond that point. All you were doing from that point, when your legs are that gone already, is damaging yourself. Like each round represents a day of the week that you are now going to be incapacitated for. So doing one round of that, like you've gone beyond capacity for your legs for that. Like that's too much volume in such a short space of time. They're already gone. Like they're full of lactic acid. To then do another round after that, immediately after that, is just right. Okay, well, you're going to be written off for tomorrow. Like your legs will be very sore. Another round after that. Okay, we'll have another day of incapacitation. Oh, you want to do another round? Oh, okay. Well, enjoy the rest of the week in bed, because that's what that was. But it's not like it made you sick or made your lungs dissipate. It's just like for me, VMO and Rec Fem were just. But no, you don't need to find it. No, not at all.
I'm trying to think back to one of the other. So realistically, for me, like one of the worst things that you can do is set up an exercise session that is pretty much one exercise done for the entirety of the session, because the exposure to that as a stimulus is so big. Like if you think, right, I'm going to do back squats for an hour, like you will be crushed. Like think about how often you do that. You'd probably end up doing your back squats more often than not 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20. Most training plans that I've seen. And then you'd go off, you'd maybe do some like more isolated leg work. But if you continue to perform that compound exercise for the entirety of your session, like let's say you do German volume training, try this 10 sets of 10, back squats, deadlift, bench press, whatever. Go and do that. Go and do that. Just pick one of them. You don't have to do all three in the same session. I'd advise not to.
Do it.
But go and do, actually go and do that. Try that. Back squat,
circuits,
bench press, deadlift. In that order as your training session. Like that is going to blow you up quite nicely.
I'll tell you what I find personally as a stimulus that is self-defeating, should we say. I don't know if you've ever heard of where you would compete in your training session. You would have to complete something specific in an amount of time as a sprint, for example. So just as a random example, let's say you have to do, let's say 50 double unders into 10 back squats at 100 kilos. And then you have to run, let's just say 2 laps of the track, which our track's 200 meters, so 400 meters. And and it's timed, you have to do it as fast as you can. Now, workouts like that, where you have to do a certain amount of rounds, however, and this is imperative that you get this right, your score is your slowest time. So you are like, you got to pace it some way, but you got to pace it in a way where you're going like every round. They are tough. They are very.
You've literally got to be on your threshold for the entirety of every effort.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how to make Chris Lenkowski sick.
That is pretty nasty.
I also EMOM 40s. What do you think about EMOM 40s?
That's just a long session. That depends what exercise you pick. Again, if you picked like a clean and jerk or an Olympic lift, or
what I would say,
maybe a couple of exercises in that.
Anyone who goes to a Total Fitness gym, give this a whirl. Courtesy of Matt Dewhurst. Shout out to him. Anything he programs rather, is
soul destroying. Minute 1, if you're a guy, you do a 15 calorie row. If you're a female, you do a 12 calorie row. Minute 2, you do 10 burpees. That's generic guys and girls. Minute 3, you do 5 devil's press, which is like a burpee snatch with dumbbells. Guys use 22.5s. Girls, if you can, use a 50, use 15s. If you can't do 15s, use 12s or 7s. Was that 3? Minute 1, 2. Yeah, minute 4, you have to do 25 wall balls. And then minute 5 was rest. However, if you've not finished your wall balls, you finish your wall balls. And the idea is your legs are already blown up enough after burpees, devil press, and a fast row to get those calories in, because you're obviously, the idea is you don't miss a rep on any of them. You get through them.
Yeah.
When you get to the wall balls, your legs are already blown up. So like 15 you can do in one go. I mean, I'm talking like gym goes. Like if you're a CrossFitter, you'll be able to do 15 or 20, probably no problem. And I know Dewey didn't struggle with that volume, but like the rest of us, like 25 is just more than enough for you to be in quite a lot of pain.
The other thing that I would say is that, like, it's less about what you do, but it's how you do it.
Yeah.
So if you picked that workout and you did it kind of like half-assed or average pace and you didn't absolutely gas yourself on it, like let's say you said, right, well, 15 calorie row in a minute, and you take the entire minute when you could finish it in 40 seconds. If you finish it in 40 seconds and get 20 seconds rest, you're actually going to get more benefit from putting in that extra bit of effort than you would if you just cruise through for the entire minute. And again, so it's how are you actually doing the exercise? So all these ideas that we're discussing, like I can only really kind of convey some of the worst feelings that I've had in the gym as a result of how hard I've pushed on a particular exercise. Like the same thing that I mentioned with the German volume training. If you said, right, okay, I'm going to go and do 10 sets of 10 deadlifts, and you pick a 20 kilo bar, well, that's like, let's say that's 20% or 10% of your 1 rep max. Well, you're going to gain nothing. Like that's going to be so easy. Whereas if you went and did 10 sets of 10 with 75, 80% of your 1 rep max, that's going to sort you out. That is 100% going to sort you out.
I think what I would say is kind of what we spoke about last time when we talked about this. Like you're looking to take yourself or have someone take you to the threshold of pain.
Yes.
And death, and keep you there as long as you can. And you know what? I remember when we were doing the work with the Royal Marines, shout out to Adam White, so the difference between them and others is they find the threshold of pain and death. So if this is it, and this is where we kind of live, like us non-war folk, what they do is they find you here, they yank you by your shirt above the threshold of death and pain, and then they keep you there for about 4 hours minimum.
You'd probably call that the drop zone, can't you? Like that's where that's where people generally tap out.
Well, that's where you are training people to just, well, listen, man, like at this stage, you either stay here and learn to get used to it, or you're probably going to die or get someone else killed.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it, isn't it? The biggest risk is, if you're going to quit in a training session, you're not really going to be any good in a war zone when you're actually possibly going to die. Like if you got teammates turning around to you going, look, we've got to do this, like crying in a corner, you're a risk. Or if you just suddenly say, yeah, I don't really want to be here. No shit. obviously. So you can't have that. So you've got to be exposed, and they need to know that you're going to be willing to push through those barriers and boundaries and spend time in that zone.
Yeah, and that is a key thing as well. It's not that like you're scared to go there, because we all are. Like, we're all worried about the workout that we're going to do or what they make us do or whatever. But you got to be willing to go there regardless, and that's it. That's it.
That would be my big thing. Like, for me, I don't necessarily look forward to going into that pain zone, but I will go. And then when I'm there, I just decide I'm going to have fun and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to embrace the pain. I don't know if you're the same way in that mindset, but it's like, if we're here, we might as well enjoy being here.
Me and Chris Warren used to design team training, which was based on like programming to make people feel it the next day, like take people to that threshold. And we came up with a method for programming. All right. So, Chris Warren, he's a very clever guy. Very, very scientific process. So what we had to do was we threw ideas at each other of stuff that we thought would suck. And then when the other person made this face and this noise, that was when you had to do that workout. So we just like throw random stuff at each other. And if one of us made that noise, so if he suggested something to me and I went, oh, you had to do it. That was your inability to keep your emotion in check was your punishment for that. So you would have to do the workout. Yeah. And it worked. We did some very nasty workouts.
There was I was just thinking back to, there was another workout that I did last week, maybe the week before. Part of it, or the first part of it, was 100 wall balls, and we had a set amount of time to do it, but it was 100 wall balls. And the coach during the session suggested that I use, I think it was a 14 kilo med ball, so heavier than normal, and completely alien to what would normally use. Like, normally the weight is like, was it 9 kilos, 10 kilos, about that?
Yeah, I think it might even be 12 for guys now.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very much based on poundage, isn't it? Because it's American style. But so anyway, I grabbed this ball and I started working with it, and I realized I was in trouble from the first rep. So the target on the frame, there are some solid ones, but this one was a target that stuck up at the top, and because it had nothing supported directly behind it, it had a bit of bounce to it, it had a bit of spring to it. So I'm squatting down into the bottom of the wall ball, and I drive it up, and I hit the target, and obviously I have to push a lot harder, drive a lot harder through the legs. It hits the target, but then it keeps going with the target, and then obviously it rebounds, springs back at me, and because it's so much heavier and now it's traveling quicker than normal, I've got my hands up and I'm using my thumbs like this. So if you can see us, and if you're watching the video, you'll get a good idea. But imagine if you put your thumbs together, the tips of your thumbs with your fingertips pointing up and your palms facing away, and then point up to the ceiling, you've essentially got like a nice big bucket there to catch the ball. And when you catch it, it's pretty much arms straight where you take the contact in front of your face or above your face, right? Now, I'm trying to catch this ball, and it pretty much just went straight through my thumbs and smashed me in the nose. And that was rep number 1. Very quickly learned my lesson.
It's a good start. It's a very good start.
I mean, so even I did finish. Fortunately, this time I did finish them. I persevered. I got through them all. I think I was like the last to finish, but I didn't give a shit. So I kept throwing the med ball up at this target, and literally, more often than not, my hands would come down, and even though I'd catch it this time, it would still like bump me on the end. So I finished the session. I looked like Rudolph. I had like a red nose on the tip just because the ball just kept catching it.
Wow.
And stuffing it on the way past. So that was brilliant fun. Do you know one of the worst feelings I've ever had in a session though? So we used to do the ProFit Combine, which
yes,
was,
we did.
so this was the community of personal trainers, which is an absolutely awesome bunch. And we would do performance testing throughout the day just as fun. All right. 'Cause we're fitness people and we think, oh, we'll go and have some fun together. It was anything but. It was stressful, agonizing, painful. And, you know, your ego takes a hit no matter what, because there's always someone better than you. So starts with the explosive events, because we structured it the right way, isn't it? As a strength and conditioning based day, it was structured the right way. We started with the sprints, the explosive stuff. So that was broad jump as far as you can, change of direction or pro agility, 5, 10, 5, whatever you want to call it, and a 30-meter sprint. From there, you then go into your strength lifts. I think we did 4 rep max testing, wasn't it? So it was like 4 rep max on back squat, bench press, deadlift, minging. Then from there, you do have like little breaks in between each one. But then from there, I think there was a 30-30 row, right? And when we got to the 30-30 row, it was row as hard as you can for 30 seconds, have 30 seconds rest, repeat that 6 times. By the time I finished, I literally had that much kind of like going, like my thumbs were cramping up and I felt like my arms were on fire. And I honestly, I was on the verge of chucking up. And I'm fairly confident a few people actually did throw up after that, because that was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, that was. So that would come in just after you do the fastest 1 mile run, wouldn't we? So you're already kind of like taken to that place, and then you go to the 30-30 row.
No, the run was afterwards. It was, wasn't it 12 minutes for max distance? I'm sure it was like 12 minutes.
Originally it was, but they changed it because people were finishing at like certain parts of the track on 12 minutes, so we couldn't track it. So anyway, next time around, I think it was fastest mile. But either way, they were around each other. Grim. I remember. In fact, do you know what I remember? So I started doing some energy systems work. When was this now? Do you know what? This was coming out of lockdown 1, and I had to do a 5K row test and measure pace and speed and all that stuff. And I remember one of the first workouts doing after coming off the back of that test was 6 times 30-30 row, which obviously made my eyes bleed, times 3. So you got 2 minutes rest after your 30-30 row. And my biceps, before I even started, my biceps were like, oh God, we remember this. We remember this. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
Nasty. So hopefully you've all got some wonderful ideas of maybe some things you want to try over Christmas. You never know. Certainly give your Christmas meal, give that a shot. Try and organize the family to get the protein and veggies, then follow that with a 3.5 minute rest. And then let us know, send us a video, make sure.
Just to be clear, your Christmas dinner doesn't need that much thought unless you're very serious, very, very serious about your approach and what you're getting out of it.
I think it'd be a great challenge. I reckon it'll be a great challenge.
How many plates of Christmas dinner can you get in on Christmas Day?
No, not how many plates, how many kilos worth of food. So you just weigh it.
I was almost going to suggest how many kilos of Christmas dinner can you put on in weight on you?
No. Just process it. Get it eaten. Just see how much food you can eat. Weigh it out. Just weigh it. See what you do. So hopefully we've given you some good Christmas tips and some more pretty savage training ideas, as well as obviously the questions that Chris asked me at the start. We will be doing a couple more shows before Christmas, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for when they drop. And shout us any questions if you want us to address something on the podcast. If you want, like Chris asked me some questions today, I asked him some previously. If you've got any little topics you would like us to discuss, please get in touch, let us know. You can do that either email us, Alex or Chris, at lenkohq.com, or come and find us on Facebook. Lenko HQ, Team Lenko is the Facebook group, or Instagram, Lenko HQ on there as well. And yeah, anything you would like to add to that, Chris? Anything you'd like to say to finish off for today?
No, I think it's worked quite well. I think you've given some excellent pieces of advice and information. Even at the start, when we were looking for opinions, I think you gave some good tips there. So there's a lot for people to take away from that. I think maybe for us, we could look at getting some written notes for people. Is that possible?
Yeah, if you do it.
I think maybe for us, we'll leave it as it is for now. And then sometime in the future, we'll look at getting written notes for people.
Nice one. Brilliant, Chris. Brilliant. Well, do you know what? I feel validated. I thank you for that. I thank you for the opportunity to share my pearls of wisdom.
You've done a wonderful job. You've done a wonderful job, mate, as per usual.
Wonderful. Wonderful to know. And also, by the way, before we go, one big fat thank you to everyone who has listened so far and is continuing to listen. You keep listening, we'll keep producing. To be honest, we'll probably keep producing even if you weren't listening. But it's lovely to have you listening. And please, again, feel free, leave us a review, drop us a rating. That will obviously help us massively get the podcast out there for other people to listen as well. And until next time, Lenko out.
See you later.